I think she's about to cook, everyone. Hold on to your butts. Here's a question. If any national, continental, or world record is broken without any video evidence, but only under the supervision of the organizers and delegates of the competition, does that mean the record-breaking result would stand without any reason or vice versa? She has brought up a very, very valid question. Why should we film? The question, why should we film, is especially valid when, as far as she can tell, as far as the regs say, there wouldn't be any case for the solves to even be investigated without video footage. It feels like she's goading the WCA, just like, you know what? He keeps breaking the rules, ban him. They've lost the fight to appeal, and they're challenging the WCA to ban them. That's actually a lot. I think I've contradicted myself in this video by saying I think the reg is clear, but also saying I don't think the reg is clear. Another banger! Another banger from Yushu, actually. That's mad. That's mad. I'm sorry. I'm crashing out. That's mad. Okay, buckle up, buttercups, because this is probably gonna be a long one. Yiheng Wang's mum, Yushu, has made what do we want to say? A significantly sized post on Facebook about, I suppose, her experience with the WCA, what she's feeling at the moment, and this comes in the wake of young Yiheng's latest deleted solves, which led to the 0.86 2x2 world record. It's now reverted, of course, to 0.88, which is also his. And we're gonna just dive into it. Before we do, though, I just want to say that I do not represent the WCA in any capacity. I also don't represent Yiheng Wang, his mum, or anyone connected to Yiheng in any capacity whatsoever. I am just watching this happen and trying to provide a voice in between to see if we can understand what's happening, and because it's all happening publicly for everyone to see. So it is what it is. Is that enough disclaimers? It probably is. Hey, so here we go. I'm gonna read this to you, and I'm going to provide a little bit of my own commentary when I feel like it's necessary. Do you know what I mean? So here we are. It says Yiheng Wang, but this is Yiheng Wang's mom, Yushu. I just want to address a few things that I'm feeling skeptical about. Firstly, what is the exact thing or regulation that Yiheng had even violated in his 3.38 3x3 single, or even his 0.49 2x2 single? She's speaking very specifically about a couple of solves which were actually the 2x2 single, and this is awkward because it's referring to attachments to this, which we're going to look at later in full, but we can see in this, and I kind of forget exactly what's happened when, what's been banned, what's been reinstated. The 0.492 by 2 PR single was reinstated. Now calm down, okay? I know it wasn't reinstated. I got this wrong. One of the +2s applied to it. One of the +2s applied to it were removed. That's what happened. I do work it out later in the video. But just don't rinse me already, okay? Just chill. The decision to delete it was overturned. The decision to apply penalty A4B1 was overturned. But they didn't overturn any more of them. And we're going to get into why and how and where and when and all of that other stuff as we get through this post. So already we're a sentence in and I've already had to stop, so this doesn't bode well. Let's just put this aside. The moment after Yiheng achieved this 0.86 2x2 average, his sponsor and CubeRoot, a Chinese social media creator, yes, we know about CubeRoot, thank you very much. I wonder if she knows the opinion of the West about CubeRoot, has posted high quality videos on every single social media platform in which I told them that we should not have early celebration before WRC had verified this record. Yes, we are indeed cautious in this case. One bitten, twice shy. Yushu knows that her son's solves are going to be looked at very, very closely. Not only because we want to prove that this result is valid, but we want to prove that Yiheng's achievement was done fair and square while complying with the regulations. So his sponsor and CubeRoot is obviously someone who follows Yiheng around and posts a lot of his content. The other person who posted the video of this, as far as I can remember, was Teacher Jia. Teacher Ja and Cuberoot, I know, are connected there too, and so is Yiheng. They are the three people who did the triple copyright strike on young Arson's channel when that was taken down. That's an aside, but these three worked together on the copyright strikes for that. So this, I'm assuming that's who this must be, Teacher Ja. So they posted the video despite Yushu saying, hey, hold on a minute, we should wait and find out what's happening here. Not anyone from WRC, no one from the WRC, I'm having to kind of translate here, no one from the WRC said there was anything wrong about the videos, but still it took them a total of 11 days for the green light of this record, when results submission for a competition usually takes at most 7 days. So she's saying nobody said anything, but it did take longer to get submitted than usual. About 1 month had passed, and the authorities from the WCA had already contacted us for details for the Guinness World Record, and we thought everything was in the clear by now. And she has got the receipts for that as well. We can see this is pretty devastating. This is the email that was sent connecting. I have deleted a lot of email addresses and stuff out of here, but this is an email from the WCA to Yushu saying we've partnered with Guinness to acknowledge our world record. So they're going through the steps here. It's official. It's happening. We're getting our world record, Guinness World Record certificate. It's all go. And then she says, all of a sudden, WRC just decided to penalise this record by not just 1, but 3 + 2 penalties. They mentioned that Yiheng violated Regulation A4B in this particular case, which claimed that he did not make his palms facing down flat on the timer, or maybe Regulation A4B 1-2, which he touched the puzzle while starting. If that's the case, and since this average has such a high profile in the cubing community, did the WRC actually verify the 4K footage before having the WRT, the records team, to publish the results, a results team maybe? Or else was it that WRC had always been skeptical regarding the validity of this record, but still asked Guinness World Records to verify and send us an official GWR certificate? What's happened there? Since world records are one of the largest drivers of the WCA's public outreach, couldn't WCA make sure the validity of the record before actually publishing it? Pop off, Queen, is all I've got to say right there. That's totally valid. I asked someone, I have someone in my DMs from the disciplinary committee, the people who reviewed the record, and I asked, was Yiheng's mum asked for footage? I thought they were recording everything at 120 frames per second now. And they told me the WRC does not ask for footage. We use publicly accessible footage when it's reported. And they go on to say competitors are able to provide new video evidence as part of an appeal or dispute through Disputes Motion 2.1.1. So, why do I bring that up? Clearly, as far as I can tell, what Yushu is saying is that she wasn't asked for any footage. She didn't submit any footage to the WCA. The WCA took the footage that was publicly available, published by Cuberoot and Teacher Ja, it would appear. But then there was 100 other people filming as well. So who knows where the footage has come from? I guess. We're going to carry on. Secondly, is there any clear definition of the competitor's palms must be facing down as per Regulation A4B and WCA regulations? Could the WRC kindly provide us with a video reference with decent video resolution and quality, then put an explanation that if the attempt doesn't fulfill the requirements shown by the reference, it's a violation of WCA regs? So I feel like she is saying this isn't clear and we want clarification, because I think what's been happening in the videos, let's go to full screen, shall we? In the videos, in the report we saw recently where Yiheng lost to 0.86, he was kind of coming up like that. Like he's got fingers over the front of the timer and he's coming up like that. And she's saying, well, those palms are still kind of facing down. Like, is it exactly, it doesn't say anywhere that palms should be 90 degrees. And she's not technically wrong. We need to pull this up. A4B, the competitor uses their fingers to touch the elevated sensor of the StackMat timer. The competitor's palms must be facing down and located on the side of the timer that is closer to the competitor. So it doesn't say palms on the timer, it says fingers on the timer and palms facing down on the competitor side of the timer. A41B, the competitor must have no physical contact with the puzzle while starting the solve. Is that ambiguous, is the question? The competitor uses their fingers to touch the elevated sensors of the surface of the StackMat timer, and the palms must be facing down. That sounds actually relatively clear to me. With respect there, Yushu. Is there any clear definition of the competitor's palms must be facing down as per regulation A4B and WCA regulations? I would push back on that and say yes, actually there is. And if his palms are on the timer, that's an issue because his fingers should be on the timer. You know? Additionally, we would humbly request for the clarification as if there is any specific regulation or guidelines stating that how many degrees in terms of angle a competitor cannot exceed with their hands on timer while complying with regulation A4B. So here's the report and the images from the 0.86 WR average that was penalized. I would argue that this is a clear violation. Because Yiheng's palms are still in contact with the timer, it looks like. This isn't about palm angle. This is about where his palms are. His fingers should be touching the timer, and his palms should be behind the timer. And this is a real issue. Honestly, I think we've seen this coming up. I've seen this in other solves as well. People hanging their fingers over the edge of the timers. We could potentially clear this up. With an addition to A4B, the competitor uses their fingers to touch the elevated sensor surfaces of the StackMat timer. The competitor's palms must be facing down and located on the side of the timer that's closest to the competitor. All we need, in my opinion, is something in there that says your fingers can't be hanging over the front of the timer. Never mind the angle of the palms. Your fingers can't be hanging over the end of the timer. Arguably. That's just my opinion. Thirdly, did WRC check the videos of all other world records thoroughly while having frame counting and screenshotting done in a cautious and skeptical manner to make sure that no violation was done in the nature of those records? I personally gave feedback and screenshots regarding some other world records, but WRC did not give any direct responses about that. So first of all, that's disappointing from the WCA that they didn't respond, if that's the case. I also asked my person at the WRC about another controversial result, and what they told me was the following. The vote on this particular one that I'm not going to mention was very, very close and resulted in no penalty. And in this person's opinion, that's in part due to video quality or lack of. Now that's going to come in very important as we get further through Yushu's document here. In Dalian Open 2024 2x2 cube first round, Yiheng's second solve, which was a 0.49, was penalised by a +4 penalty by WRC. I remember that now, eh? When the only available footage being blurry and unclear, how did WRC come to the conclusion that the result should be penalised? That's very interesting, because of what I've just said about this other result, which had footage and was deemed just about okay in terms of the vote. This one was clearly deemed just about not okay comparing to the vote. So do you see what I'm saying there? There's just a little bit of mud here. And then, of course, the 4.9 was then reinstated, right? According to Yushu. When we initially reviewed this, the only publicly available video was from a side profile. Within this video, it presented that Yiheng was touching the penalty. Okay, check your English there. WCA. After reviewing the video evidence which you have provided, which is from a significantly better angle, the WRC is confident that he was not touching the puzzle, meaning we overturned the +2 second penalty. Oh, I see. They didn't overturn A4B, which is about the palms. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. So he wasn't touching the cubes, lost that +2, but the palms thing is what got him again, because there's no fingers thing, because there's nothing that says you can't have your fingers over the front of the timer, and I think that's where we're getting confused here. Palms and fingers are getting all muddled up, in my opinion. Was that result being penalized just because the video cannot be seen clearly? Valid point. I'm decently sure everyone, including WRC, understands the importance of that particular attempt because it determined whether Yiheng had successfully broken the 2x2 world record with an average of 0.9 after the previous 0.78 2x2 average in Johor Cube Open 2024 getting penalized. If that's the case, I provided WRC with alternative video footage with a high resolution and frame rates, which they claimed would be able to analyze in a better way. In the end, they did lift a +2 penalty for violating regulation A4B1, but claimed the timer start was still illegal in a subjective and vague manner. Hence, a +2 penalty still remained. And that's what we've seen the email about. The competitor's palms must be facing down. Due to Yiheng's hands still being very perpendicular when the timer starts. So they're talking about his hands coming up like this. But again, I don't think the palms angle should be anything, because fingers should be touching the timer, and then fingers and everything should leave the timer. I think there's just a clarification needed here. And remember, this is being translated as well, so we've got to be so clear for this, in my opinion. Here's a question. If any national... I think she's about to cook, everyone. Hold on to your butts. Here's a question. If any national, continental, or world record is broken without any video evidence, but only under the supervision of the organisers and delegates of the competition, does that mean the record-breaking result would stand without any reason or vice versa? Very good question. If there's no footage, it cannot be analysed frame by frame, so it cannot be challenged. We have a problem finding any single piece of regulations or guidelines that requires us to film our official solves. She can see the matrix. Or any regulation that restricts us from blocking the view of our solves to the crowd. If so, for example, can we place our bags or other items in front of the competing station to avoid our attempts to isolate the visibility to the public in order to not get filmed by them? I think Yushu is cooking now. She has brought up a very, very valid question. Why should we film? Why should we film? Why should we let people film? All it will do is have our results overturned. And especially valid, the question, why should we film? The question, why should we film, is especially valid when, as far as she can tell, as far as the regs say, there wouldn't be any case for the solves to even be investigated without video footage. She's not compelled to. She does not. It is not required of her to film Yiheng solves. You know what I mean? Very, very good question. Usually when we are competing in WCA competitions, people always film Yiheng's attempts, which we understand and gladly let them have their own fun if they can witness any record in the making. It's completely fine, as the videos can be used as some kind of useful resources for the cubers out there to gain more insights. We are obliged if people are learning and improving through Yiheng's solves, but over time WRC has been exploiting this. That's, well, give her the benefit of the doubt. Translation has happened here. I'm not sure if they're exploiting it. That might be her point of view and opinion. WRC has been exploiting this and keeps looking for a quarrel in a straw. Okay, our idiom has not translated there, that's fine. After all, I have reason to believe that WRC just doesn't desire Yiheng to keep his world records. This belief might be subjective to some of you, but does WRC not give penalties out to Yiheng by voting inside the committee based on their subjective point of view? She is, I guess, right there. Does the WRC not give out penalties to Yiheng by voting inside the committee based on their subjective point of view? They would, I think, push back and argue that they vote based on evidence. It's what I assume they would say. I don't represent them. I'm not in that committee. If that's the case, does that give me a reason to believe that if we are able to befriend and have a good personal relationships with any or some of the WRC members, they will indeed turn a blind eye to violations on some petty matter? She's not saying I'm going to influence the WRC, but she's saying If I wanted to, I could. She's pointing out some holes, rather large ones actually, about the filming thing, and if she had a mate on the committee, it'd be sweet. Interesting, eh? Speedcubing is competitive and there's not any record that can last forever, but we hope everyone indeed tries their best by putting a tremendous amount of effort into their skills to break an existing record. Same for Yiheng, as we also went through an unimaginable amount of practice at home to achieve what he had today. Sure. Even if he just retires from cubing from now on, he already proved himself that he's capable in competing speedcubing based on his efforts and past result. This is starting to sound like an annoyed mama bear right now. You know what I mean? No shade. I'm just saying this is where we're getting into. This is now her being like, we have worked really hard to try and get him to where he is. Even when his solves keep getting penalized, we are not stopping there, and we'll try to improvising his solves. We'll try and improve his solves. We never hide anything from the public, as we never intended to. I'll give her that. They always publish the video. Although she did admit that she thought about not publishing the video of the 0.86. And in hindsight, if she hadn't published any video of the 0.86, would it have been penalized? Or would it still stand today? And if there was no video to talk about, would people be going, the database, the integrity of the database and the results? You see what I mean? Where did I get to? We held our integrity upright and honourable to anyone and everyone in the community. Behind all that, we indeed faced a lot of pressure from all sides, but we managed to turn that into motivation to put more time and effort into practice and break the record again, as we believe that if a record becomes unbreakable, the said event will have no point in staying as an official event anymore. RIP Magic. If what we said above did offend WRC, WCA can just impose a long-term ban on Yiheng for disrespecting WCA. So we can just stay away from competing instead of having his records getting penalised time after time. That's interesting. If what we said above did offend WRC, WCA can just impose a long-term ban on Yiheng. So we can just... this feels like her saying she's over it. It feels like she's goading the WCA. Just like, you know what? He keeps breaking the rules. Ban him. If that's what you believe, stand on your proverbial. It feels. Hence, WRC or even WCA can let other people hold the record if WCA hopes them to become a record holder. That's completely fine. She sounds very over it at this point. Since we first joined the WCA competition back in 2019, this is the first time we have ever raised a public statement. Well, is it, though? Being skeptical and questioning the validity and fairness of the WRC's decision. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm misremembering. In the previous communications between us and the WRC through emails, I've always been humble and polite, as we only want to know as if we might misunderstand some of the regulations, thus causing the violations. But in opposition to that, I suppose, they never did the same to us. They never give us a definitive and clear-cut answer to all our questions and doubts. The responses were rather vague or subjective. Now, WRC will push back and WCA will push back on that and say, no, we were very clear. We pointed you to the regs. I think the way I'm landing, I was going to stay on the fence about this, but I think the way I'm feeling is that A4B is actually not as clear as it could be. Like, not even close to being as clear as it could be. I did have a little bit of a dad chat with another dad here in New Zealand about it, and we looked at it and we were like, this is actually not fit for purpose. It doesn't talk about where fingies are, and fingies hanging over the edge of the timer. That's actually not been taken care of in a way that we, as a couple of dads, just, you know, armchair quarterbacking, we don't think it's up to scratch. Just our opinion. So regardless of whether the WRC says they've been clear, we have to hear Yushu, I think, in saying that she has not felt heard. Do you know what I mean? She has felt like she's been handed off, you know? It's just like, no, we've told you, this is fine. But she's going, well, I don't understand. So there's a translation issue there. That's what's kind of backing up my feeling that there's a translation issue. Before writing this statement, my friends kept asking me to keep my cool because of the upcoming World Championship in Seattle, as they don't think it's a good idea if Yiheng is going to compete in the championship. You've done pretty well, Yushu. All right? I'd say you've done pretty well to keep it fairly cool in this. In the end, I insisted. I tried writing as calmly as I possibly could. Queen, you've done great. Even when I'm a lone wolf while having to face the entire committee of the WRC, fear is not stopping me from speaking up for ourselves. You know, sometimes you can't just run away. At this point, we don't really want to keep appealing for all those retroactive penalties anymore. They've lost the fight to appeal, and they're challenging the WCA to ban them. That's actually a lot. That is a lot, what she's saying in this. It doesn't mean that me as Yiheng's mother will think Yiheng starts and stops were a violation to some regulations. We spent a lot of time analysing his 3.38 3x3 single and also the 0.49 and the 0.086 2x2 single and average. I strongly believe that they are perfectly fine. That, madam, is your opinion. I respect your opinion. I don't think it is, though. I think I've contradicted myself in this video by saying I think the reg is clear, but also saying I don't think the reg is clear. I think I need to clear that up and say I don't think the reg is clear. I think they've been using the palms thing, but actually that's not fit for purpose. It's about the fingers and where the fingers are. The palms thing is really confusing. It's muddying the water and screwing things up. Even if we did, I don't expect the decision to get overturned. In order to prove ourselves that we were not in the wrong, we have to spend a lot of time gathering evidence for all sorts of questions from the authorities. In the end, the appeal will eventually go to the same group of people, and all those efforts will go into the drain anyway. Another banger! Another banger from Yushu, actually. If I'm understanding the WRCA's processes correctly, and if she is understanding them correctly, and if I'm understanding what she's saying, the WRC have said, nah, 0.8 can't stand. If she appeals it, it will go back to the same people. She has to convince all these people to vote in a different way. And as we've seen from our insider at the WRC, sometimes votes are very, very tight. So she's feeling powerless here in the face of the WRC and the WCA. In the end, the appeal will eventually go to the same group of people, and all those efforts will go into the drain anyway. A lot of you watching this will not have ever had to deal with calling the council about something. But this feels like that. Of course, I'm frustrated and upset regarding the decision. But it's more like both of us are really tired now. Oh, Yushu. This is just an endless loop where everything will happen one time after another. As Yiheng's mother, I feel like I don't want to and don't have to try proving anything anymore. When the terminology of sliding started to spark discussion among the community last year, we tried placing a camera right beside his solving station just to make sure he did start the timer properly, also acting as our respect towards the existing regulations and guidelines. Still, even if we had tried our best to prove that he is capable, they can still find a way to penalise his results anyway. And that kind of goes back to what I was feeling a bit gross about from our insider in the WRC. They will just use, if so, it sounds as though anyone can say, hey, this record is sus, you should look into it. I'm assuming there, that might be wrong. But from what they've told me, they did not, at the time of having Yiheng's 0.86 reported to them, they didn't in the first instance go to Yushu and say, this has been flagged, can we please have your footage? Which to me seems like a epic failure. You know, am I mad? Is that crazy? Is that crazy? Shouldn't that have been the first thing the WRC does? I know it doesn't say in the regs that they have to do that, but morally, or just like common sense, would suggest, especially as Yushu has been so open about the fact that she's recording Yiheng solves at a wickedly high frame rate. Like, shouldn't that be the first footage they look at? Instead of looking at publicly available stuff on YouTube? Is that mad? Am I mad? I don't know. Possibly. We had always wanted to prove his capabilities by actual results instead of being nothing more than words. We do not merely talk the talk, we walk the walk. All right, we're getting a bit hyperbolic right here. Ironically, we keep ourselves in the game and strive for the greater good every single day, yet the feeling of powerlessness is also growing every day. I feel that. I do feel that from Yushi right now. To us, cubing as well as speed cubing are supposed to be fun and enjoyable. And everyone is on the same starting line when it comes to competitive speed cubing, especially a prestigious governing body like the WCA. But after all this, we realize the efforts we put in will not reflect on what we desire in the end, even though it's supposed to be a fair and square game for everyone. To be really frank, even though I'm Yiheng's mother, I do think that he is already one of the greatest in the field. All right, settle down. All the achievements, I mean, he is, but still, settle down. All the achievements he had over the years, it's all him. He had successfully proven himself by constantly pushing himself to the edge, even if it only meant one slightest bit of improvement. From what I see, I do not believe that more and more people are starting to pick up a Rubik's Cube. Wait. From what I see, I do believe that more and more people are starting to pick up a Rubik's Cube because of him. Amen, sister. A boy who doesn't believe in failure and will try to remove the first two letters of what we called impossible. All right, we are deep in the hyperbole zone now. She's not wrong, though. Clips of Yiheng grow speed cubing. I'm not going to get too meta here, but she is right. Yiheng has done a lot to grow speed cubing just by doing solves on camera. And you'll go, oh, but they weren't legit though. And I'll go, all right, fair. I don't think the regs are doing him any favors, and I don't think they're equally applicable to everyone across the field. I think we have an issue. That's not revolutionary to say I think we have an issue. As his mother, I'm grateful that he has supporters from all around the globe. Even though we don't know most of them, their kind words and support eventually turned into a soothing flow of river that kept pushing us forward, and we kept our ground on every challenge we faced. Thus, in the end of this long wall of text, you're telling me, we want to express our highest gratitude to everyone who supported us. We really mean it. Other than that, we would like to thank all his coaches as well as the sponsors. Of course, deep down, we really appreciate WCA for the opportunities so Yiheng was able to perform his skills and get recognition worldwide. Then she quotes the Declaration of Independence, which I am absolutely not touching. But yeah, all men are created equal. Everyone who works hard will eventually shine and thrive in their own pathways, and this cannot be simply obstructed by negativity, not even in the slightest. Okay, sure. But here we go. These are the things that she's attached to this Facebook post. The first one is an email from the WCA, from the WRC. We apologize for the delay in reviewing these two attempts. It seems that when we initially reviewed the file provided, we missed that videos for the 0.49 and 3.38 were provided. That's already annoying. She gave you the files and you missed them? Come on now. It happens, I get it. We have looked into these and conducted a vote and decided to overturn the A4B1 penalty on the 0.49 2x2 solve. We decided not to overturn any other penalties, which I will explain the reasoning for in slightly more detail below. And here we are, 0.49 2x2 PR single. When we initially reviewed this, the only publicly accessible video was from a side profile. That's mad! That's mad! I'm sorry, I'm crashing out. That's mad! That's absolutely mad. The only publicly accessible video was from a side profile. Involve the person. Involve the person in the investigation. Maybe you'll get better evidence. Save yourself some time with a back and forth. Is that an insane take? I don't think that is an insane take. Involve the people that you are investigating. Right? Couldn't they have solved themselves a lot of trouble and hassle for themselves administratively, but also a lot of stress and BS for the Wangs, you know? Or the Yihengs. I forget how Chinese names work, and I apologize sincerely. Within this video, it presented that... Within this video, it presented that Yiheng was touching the penalty cube, screenshot A, after reviewing the video evidence which you have provided, which is from a significantly better angle. The WRC is confident that he was not touching the puzzle, meaning we overturned the +2 penalty for regulation A4B1. Specifically the part which mentions the competitor's palms must be facing down due to Yiheng's hands still being very perpendicular when the timer starts. Again, the palms. Why are we talking about palms? I don't 100% get it. And the 3.38 3x3 ASR single. Okay, so that's the 2x2. This is the one we're looking at. When the WRC first analysed this video, we applied a +2 second penalty for A4B, specifically the part which mentions the competitor's palms must be facing down. After reviewing the footage you provided, we decided to uphold the penalty, similarly to the 2x2 PR single. Due to Yiheng's right hand, left from camera perspective, being partially obscured by another competitor, the WRC only considered the position of his left hand. WRC still believed, however, that his hand was not facing down during the timer start, and instead was perpendicular to the timer. Why are we not talking about the fact that his fingers are nowhere near the timer? I feel like we're getting to the crux of the problem now. If his palms are on the timer, that's an issue, isn't it? Am I grossly misunderstanding the regs? I don't know. This is a lot. Hi, Yiheng. Congratulations on your 0.86 2x2 world record average. We've partnered with Guinness to acknowledge our world records through their systems. And so here we are, go and get your thing. So this is the email from the WCA to Yiheng's ma saying, go get your certificate. You've earned it. Right, that was a lot. Oh, far out. I've been recording for nearly 40 minutes. I feel like I've kind of expressed my opinions on this. I think the regs are the problem. I think that's where I'm landing on this. I feel like the regs are the problem. And I'm sad that Yiheng's mum is at the end of her tether, it sounds like. Almost challenging the WCA to ban them? If I'm understanding that right? That's about it for now. I'm sure you'll all have things in the comments to say. I've probably got something wrong. Well, I did get something wrong at the start about the 0.49, so I'll look forward to your imminent and effective and devastating roasting. That's it. That's it, everyone. I've done what I came here to do. All right, bye.